The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the Minneapolis and St. Paul Synods Gathering Spring Training webinar. My name is Elizabeth Pedersen. I am the Synod Coordinator for the Minneapolis Area Synod. I'm happy to be with you here tonight. Just one quick housekeeping thing before we get started. Our main goal tonight to this webinar is that we get all of your questions answered. So I'd like to direct you to the question box on the right-hand side of your screen. As questions come up for you throughout our presentation, I urge you to type in your questions there, and we'll try to go through them as we go. We'll have some time at the end, too, for anything that comes up later or that we don't get to during our time. Number one, we're going to answer all your questions. So make sure you type in those questions there. I'm going to hand it over to Jen now, who's going to get us started.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks for those of you joining us. I am the St. Paul Area Synod Coordinator, and I'd just like to center us with a little bit of prayer as we get started this evening. So wherever you are, let us pray. Gracious and holy God, I just pray that as we gather this evening, you center us as we remember that you are the foundation in which we do everything that we do. I pray that we remember that as we prepare, that you are with us as we walk with our youth to strengthen their relationship with you and to better understand what you, God, are up to in their lives. We are gathering for a purpose, and so this indeed changes everything. As your scripture says, for by grace you have been saved through faith, and it is not of our own doing, but it is a gift from you, God, and we are grateful for that. So be with us this evening. Let us answer questions. Let us dream big for the journey this summer. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Awesome. Now that we've done introductions and grounded ourselves in word of prayer, we jump into talking about registration. And so just a few reminders. Hopefully at this point you are registered for the gathering. You know that you are going. You've been able to get online and sign in and see your page with all the details of your leaders and your youth that are attending, the housing page there, as well as the overall invoice for your congregation. A reminder is that May 15th is when registration closes, is when the payment is due, the final payment for that. Remember, it has to be postmarked by that day. So if you're gearing up, let your financial people know it has to be postmarked by May 15th. Substituting registrations, that is the same thing. If you know of another person who wants to join and you still have a spot left, don't cancel it because you'll end up losing that money. Instead, go in to your account. And once you're in your account, you can edit whichever youth you're planning on substituting for and just enter and update that information. And then hit save. And with that, it'll be transferred over and you're all good to go. Canceling. If you absolutely are sure that you can't find anyone else to take that spot and you need to cancel, you will do the same thing. Log in, go to that youth's name, and under their profile, you'll hit cancel. Now, in doing so, remember that this will have you lose the deposit. So you'll lose the $150, but if you by some chance thought that youth was going and have already paid the full amount, know that after the gathering has completed, you will get a reimbursement for the overage, the amount over the $150. With that being said, with having substitutions and cancelings, you can also go back in and update your t-shirt sizes. So that's opening back up until May 15th as well. So please, if you need to do any of those things, just jump on into your profile and you can see that. So I hope there's no questions about registration at this point.
No questions so far.
We're going to move on then to housing. So housing, at this point, you should already know where your hotel is. For Minneapolis side, you're either at the Marriott South Hobby or the Doubletree Hobby, I believe, are the two main hotels that you should be at. So double check those details. You can find those in your profile. For St. Paul area, you are either at the Royal Sonesta or the Sheraton Suites in the Galleria. So I hope that information sounds correct to you. Double check. Also know that the housing room information assignments, all those details are in the congregation details section. With that being said, you should have been able to print your housing letter and send that in with your deposit to your hotel. This is the biggest note that I want to make sure is clear is please do not contact your hotel until you have printed this letter and sent it in with the deposit. The reason for that being is right now the gathering team had set aside back as they were planning a set of rooms, didn't know which congregations would be going in, just a number. And so it is a blank slate right now, and as those housing letters come in with those deposits, the hotels themselves are putting in your information and locking those rooms in place and assigning them to you. And so if you were to call ahead, they would not have you in their books. They would not know any details. And so please to just cut back on confusion for all parties involved. Just hold off until you receive a confirmation from your hotel. You'll receive a confirmation from them after probably a couple weeks, I would hope, maybe sooner. One of the biggest things that if you could hold in prayer, if you haven't heard already, is that the gathering team coordinator, Donna Wiggle, ended up passing away, and her funeral was this last Saturday. And so that was just disheartening and surprising news to all of us. And so just please hold her family in your prayers and your thoughts and for this. And the gathering is still moving forward with all things housing. It just, you might not hear back as fast as you would hope or anticipate, and so they are still trucking away, as you can imagine, with 30-some thousand people. That's a big task, but don't fret and don't worry. Just give everything over to the Lord and it's going to be all good. We're all going to have a pillow, I promise.
Yeah.
And yes. So are there any questions about that? There is the tax exempt form I wanted to mention as well. You can see on the slideshow that we're showing is the website that'll take you right there. You can apply for it. We did hear back last week that it was taking up to a month to hear back. So if you haven't yet, I'd say do that tomorrow or as soon as you can to make sure that you get that tax form. They will send you a certificate that gives you a hotel tax exemption, and then another certificate in case your congregation does any shopping while you're there in Texas. You can count a portion of your taxes to be exempt. Remember, it's not the 100% complete tax exemption, but a portion of it you will save. And sharing, trading, and releasing of rooms. So the biggest thing is if you have any rooms that you're sharing, so if you are partnered with a congregation, just fill out your housing sheets as you've received them, send in your deposits, and then when you're actually at the gathering, that's when you can worry about who's in what room and switch around. That won't matter. The actual trading of rooms, though, if say you have a king and you want a double and you found a congregation willing to trade, that sort of thing, you do need to let the gathering know. You do need to send in an email to gathering@elca.org, and in that include that information. So for example, say I was trading, I would say Hosanna Lutheran Church, congregational ID number such and such, and we are giving a king room to Elam Lutheran Church in Scandia. They're a partnering church. That's why I use that as my example. And their congregational ID is such and such, and we'll be trading rooms. And so just as simple as that, just to let the gathering know so they can change it on their side and let the hotels know and they can update that. That would be remarkable. If there's any sort of changes, additions, subtractions, just let the gathering know. That would be great. So that again is just gathering@elca.org with congregational IDs and those details. That would be much appreciated.
Okay, two things, Jen.
Yes.
One, Minneapolis people, we do have a spreadsheet for sharing and borrowing rooms with each other, or sharing and giving rooms to each other. Hopefully, if you need a room or have extra room, you are using that spreadsheet to communicate with the rest of us in our synod so that we can make those connections. That's very important. And then second, I don't know about the rest of you, but I received an email from Marriott, a person at the Marriott today, who was just checking in and just told me that I have to send in my stuff by May 15th or they're going to release my room, which is totally what I expect. But it's nice to know that they're aware of us, and that when I do send in my stuff, they should send me the confirmation pretty quickly. So that was one thing. I do have two questions here from Ben. You say, Ben says he already paid his deposit a while ago, but now the hotel says they'll be charging for the remainder of the cost on May 15th. Is that right? I'm not aware that that's how they're doing it. Are you, Jen?
I am not sure if everything is due by May 15th. I just thought the housing letter and deposit needed to be in by then.
From what I understood,
go ahead.
From what I understood, it was the housing deposit that was due on May 15th. It's possible that different hotels are handling it differently, but it might be worth, since you have heard from the hotel and they gotten a confirmation, I'm assuming it would be worth just calling and double checking on that with like the sales staff or somebody who is not the front desk to clarify what you're supposed to do there. And then you had a question about the tax. You say, is it correct that the tax exempt form gets us out of the 6% state tax, but we still need to pay an 11% tax? Yes, it does. If the tax exempt is for the Texas state tax, which I believe is 6%, but you do still need to pay the federal tax, which I'm not totally sure is 11%, but you're probably right there. Yeah. Anything to add to that, Jen?
No, I think that was good.
Okay. All right.
Do you think we move on to transportation?
Yes, let's do it.
Woohoo, transportation. Awesome. So just a little bit of update for those who are riding with the Synod. Remember, it's joint Synod, so Minneapolis and St. Paul Synod buses. We have an update just letting you know departure time, whether you're with Mile, who's leaving on June 23rd, or everyone else leaving on June 26th. We're all going to be leaving at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. If you're traveling with Mile, that meeting spot is at Christ the King in New Brighton. And if you are leaving with the larger group on June 26th, we are going to meet at the Walmart off of 35W and County Road C in Roseville, Minnesota. I hope that makes sense. We're going to meet in their parking lot, so that way if people need to grab things, there's an Aldi's, you can go into Walmart. Remember, we are leaving at 1 p.m. Everyone already on the bus, luggage loaded, hitting the road at 1 p.m. for both of those dates. So that means get there beforehand, get there early enough. And so that's my update. We'll have other updates. I'll be sending out a full little newsletter with things about stops, the types of stops we'll be doing. There will be stops where just the drivers get out to refuel or go to the bathroom and everyone stays on. There will be some stops where we go for meals. There will be some stops that we rotate who goes to the bathroom, because if you can imagine 8 buses and everybody getting out of them, that can add up to an hour or more to our drive time, and I know we want to get to our locations as soon as possible. So just so you know, we are working on that, and if you have any other questions about Synod buses, you can send me a message, and just know that that information will be coming out soon. Airport shuttles. Just to let you know that for airport, you should have already signed up because it's closed now. As you see, the date on the slideshow was April 27th. So you can still get shuttles, they just have to be on your own now. And so if you signed up, TMS is the shuttle company, $20 a person. You should know that. You would have clicked the box notifying that in your congregational details, your profile online. Just so you know, for the transportation times, you can go onto the website. You can go to elca.org/youth gathering and click under About, and for shuttles, for transportation, it'll have a nice little chart there for you that says if you're coming in on such and such a day, there's the time frame for the shuttles on Tuesday and Wednesday from either location at Hobby or the International Airport. So that works for those shuttles. A big note that I need to make for departing on the shuttles is it's a tight time frame for departure on that last day on July 1st. From Energy Center is where the shuttles will be picking you up from and taking you to your airports. That starts at noon and ends at 1:30. So that's the only times that they're offering for the TMS shuttle, is 12 noon to 1:30. And so if you have flights that leave much later and you've selected gathering transportation, you can go back to your hotel. You know, you can schedule your own transportation then through Lyft or Uber or a shuttle company nearby. And that's the details that I know about airport shuttles. Gathering transportation. If you are using gathering transportation, Wednesday is the only day that that transportation will be looping around from 12:30 to 6 p.m. In increments from your hotels to the Energy Center. We'll get to it later, but community life will be open, so you can explore, mingle, kind of get settled in before the mass gathering that evening. There's also a daily schedule that'll be coming out in May in the next couple weeks that'll give more details about when the gathering transportation times for those loading times and all of that. And great news, if you look at the slide at the very bottom, our last point is the parking is free at Energy. And so, yay.
Yay.
Yay. So that's transportation. That's what I have. Were there any questions that popped up?
No, there were no questions about transportation, so everybody's got it down.
Well, you have any, let us know. We're going to move on to the themes because I know you're itching to know what we're going to be talking about each day when we're there. These are the themes. Wednesday, God's call changes everything. Thursday is God's love changes everything. Friday, God's grace changes everything. Saturday is God's hope changes everything. And Sunday we end with Jesus changes everything. And all of those are tied in with scriptural passages and verses. Those you'll be notified about when you check in with your booklet. It'll also probably have your little closing evening 15 group time for the
Final
evenings.
15. It's called Final.
Final 15. Thank you.
Yeah, lingo for you, rookie.
Called Final 15. Final 15 in there. So it'll have more details that expand upon each of these daily themes.
All right.
Wonderful.
Good. All right. It's my turn now. We're going to talk about all of the gathering programs that we have to expect. And so we'll start with the program rotation. So Minneapolis and St. Paul are on the same rotation. So this applies to all of us. Thursday will be our interactive learning day. Friday is Synod day. And Saturday is service day. So we're going to go through those first. Interactive learning happens in NRG Center, and there will be a map a little bit later so you can kind of wrap your head around that. But in NRG Center, there will be 700,000 square feet of stuff to do. That's 3 by 4 football fields. It's very, very large space, which is so awesome. And then because it is one of the program days, that will only be available to us Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the goal of interactive learning is to help kids discover who God calls them to be. So there will be a lot of different activities in the center that will be learning based, but also be stretching our kids to discover what God is doing in their lives and who God might be calling them to be. There also, because there's so much stuff to do, it's a good idea to plan how you will use your time in this space. And as a part of that, the gathering is going to offer 8 tracks that you can use to kind of map out your time in this space. So I'm not sure what each track is yet, but for example, if you wanted to do, say, a group building track, they would have all of the locations and activities that you can do that are related to that group building that you can move your group through. In regard to planning how you use your time in interactive learning, I recommend you think about like how you want your kids to experience it, whether it be on their own, probably not on their own, but in small groups of 2 or 3 people, or maybe you have a small group that has a leader assigned to them that they as a group go through and plan their time and do it all together. I myself, my group is broken up into small groups, and each small group has a leader. We're going to do interactive learning in our small groups. So that doesn't mean that all the friends will be able to hang out with each other for that whole time, which is okay because the purpose of interactive learning is to do some learning together and be intentional in our small groups, and hopefully I know that will add to our time together. A couple of things about the layout, because it is such a huge space, they will be utilizing some air walls to kind of break up the space a little bit, which will be helpful. And the layout will be like quiet to loud. So some quiet activities on one end leading up to louder activities, which is helpful for people who might be overwhelmed by a space that large and that much going on. Also, just so you know, Youth Ministry Network will be doing an adult leader workshop in interactive learning. We're not really sure what that looks like yet, but it's a really cool opportunity to get some training for your leaders if you want to utilize that. And so you're aware, because our day is Thursday, that means we have Friday and Saturday to go in as well. You can go into interactive learning on any of the days other than your assigned day. But what's nice for us is because Thursday is the first day, we'll kind of get a feel for everything that is in there and then be able to go back and catch some of the stuff that we didn't get to do when we have a little more time on the rest of the days. There are also a few things that you can sign up for beforehand. There is blood donation, and there will be a sign up for that. Know that you have to be 16 to do blood donation, and you have to have a signed form from a parent to be able to do that. So you'll want to plan for that ahead of time. There's also hair donation, which you can sign up beforehand. And Habitat for Humanity will be there. We'll be framing up 3 whole houses in the Interactive Learning Center, and so you can sign up for a time to help build those houses. And then new this year, they have, well, this part isn't new. There are ropes activities available, like zip line or high ropes course, and they've always had those. But new this year will be a sort of fast pass style waiting thing, so that kids don't have to spend their whole day waiting in line to do the zip line. When you go up there, they'll hand you a card that says, come back at 1 to 2 p.m. And so the idea is hopefully you'd only have to spend 1 hour of your time waiting in line and then be able to participate in that activity. So that's a cool thing, and I really hope it works out for them. All right, interactive learning. There you have it. Next, we're going to talk about Synod Day. This is the day that we'll come together, all of us Minneapolis people in one place and all of you St. Paul people in another place, with the goal of helping to fulfill the mission of the gathering through worship, Bible study, and fellowship. The theme is We Belong Together. And so at Synod Day, we'll be centering around who we are as a community and how each of us belong in this community. And that's a great theme for us to talk about as synods, I think. A couple notes on the schedule. We have the doors opening at 11:30 a.m. and then the Synod Day program will go from 12 to 3. So the Minneapolis people, our Synod Day will be happening at NRG Center, which means that if you're using gathering transportation, they will bus you to NRG, and then you get to be there for the day. And you can grab food there before you come, and then when we're done with Synod Day, you're where you need to be. So that's cool. And St. Paul, I know your Synod Day is at the Royal Sonesta, which is really great for you because you can sleep in, get out of bed, grab some food, and then walk to Synod Day either in your hotel or next door. So that'll be helpful for you as well. I already said eat before you come, so that's important. We have some Synod t-shirts that we want to give you some details about. The Minneapolis Synod shirt, the design there is on the screen. So the Minneapolis ELCA will be on the front, and then the state of Minnesota will be on one sleeve, and the state of Texas will be on the other sleeve. Pretty cool. And those will be, the color is Heather Galapagos Blue, and you can plan on an $8 per shirt. I'm going to be hosting the sign up and money collection for that on my church's website, and we'll send out the link for ordering those shirts shortly as soon as we get those up. And I'll handle getting all of the orders and sort all the shirts once we get them, and then I'll have you come and pick them up at Lord of Life after June 13th. So that's the Minneapolis shirt. Jen, I'm going to have you talk about the St. Paul shirt.
Yeah, I'm excited about our shirt. And right now, that's just the edited draft of it. It'll be on the front on a heathered blue, so a soft material shirt. We are working with Reconciling Works, and so their logo being on the back with church names potentially listed there. There may be a cost associated. We're not quite sure, but the same thing, there will be an order date going up soon, and then pickup time released as well. So that's all we know about Synod shirts. Woohoo!
All right, cool. So that's all we got for Synod Day right now. I'm going to move on to Service Day. This is the day we get to go out in the community and walk alongside the people in Houston. The goal of Synod Day is accompaniment and responding to the needs of our partners in Houston. So that means that our goal is to do as much as we can do in 3 days with man and woman power to further the missions of our partners and do whatever they need us to do, whatever that looks like. It's a unique thing having the man and woman power of 30,000 people. We can accomplish a lot, and we trust that we'll be helping immensely with whatever our partners need in Houston when we are there. So because accompaniment is a goal here, story is very important. And so the gathering is going to be putting out 4 visual poems, which are 4 people in Houston that are sharing their stories. Those are important things to share with your groups as you're kind of getting your mindset ready for service day. And yeah, as I said, that in regard to that, preparation is very important, and preparing your attitude for service, and as I was just saying, and preparing to just do whatever needs to be done, and in order to accompany and help however people need. Some details about Service Day. You'll be launching from a launch hotel, which will be nearby the hotel you are staying in. We don't know what those specific hotels are yet. And then the goal is that you'll be to your project by 9 a.m. You will be partnered up with a servant companion who knows that you are assigned to them and knows what you are doing and where you are going. So you will receive a text message from your servant companion either the day before or that morning that they'll want to just be connecting with you and make sure you know where you're going, which will be very helpful. And then we'll be at our projects till noon, and they will transport us back to NRG for the celebration of service, which will happen at NRG Arena. Some of the different projects that we can expect will be around these kinds of things on the screen. We'll be doing a lot of book fairs, especially seeing as our in-kind donation this time is blast off for books. So we get to do something with those books that we are donating. And there's a lot of schools and human trafficking awareness, community gardens, and food awareness things. Will be partnering, I know, with Houston Food Bank and some other food shelves. If you go on the Service Day page on the Gathering website, they do have a list of all of the partners that they're with for Service Day. So that's kind of a cool list to check out. Let's see. What you need to bring and wear on Service Day is your orange shirt. You will be receiving your orange Service Day shirt in the mail, shipped to your church. That's what the t-shirt sizes are referring to in your account. We want to make sure you have those right. So bring those shirts not only to the gathering, but bring them to Service Day. Make sure you have on shorts that are good length. Leaders, you can have your own discretion with that. Must have closed toe and closed heel shoes, hat, sunscreen, water bottle. If you're not aware, Houston is very, very hot in the summer, and so we'll want to make sure to protect our kids from that heat by drinking lots of water, bringing that hat and sunscreen, very important. The one thing with Service Day too is that they provide lunch. So the gathering is partnered with Jason's Deli, and Jason's Deli is very excited about this partnership and are very into it. So that's kind of cool. Lunch will be a turkey croissant sandwich, chips, fruit, pickle. No drink. That's why you got to bring your water bottle. There will be places to refill those water bottles at your service site. There will be some vegetarian options in each box. And just be aware that there are no special lunches. So if you have any dietary needs or allergies, you'll want to plan for that and bring some food for that person. Okay, that's service day. I have a question here, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go back to that later. We're going to move on to community life. The goal of community life is to create fun, organic spaces for your group to connect, relax, and play. So this is a place that you can go for all of the in-between time that you have at the gathering. It'll be headquartered in NRG Arena, where they'll have 150,000 square feet of super fun stuff to do. This will be open on Wednesday. So this will be the only thing that you can do in Energy Park on Wednesday before the opening mass gathering. They'll be open starting at 1 p.m. and then Thursday through Saturday. They're open from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. So some of the things that you can expect in community life is some of the super fun stuff like lip sync battles, which is so fun. My kids did that at the last gathering. There will be live Bible studies each day. I know Bishop Eaton is doing a Bible study. There will be meet and greets with the speakers and bands. They're going to have some trackless trains, so they're going to do carpool karaoke. Super fun. I don't know if you have seen something like that at your local mall, but I've heard it's really cool. There's a hammock village, which I know all of us adults will love. Of course, there will be inflatables, and yes, there will be food. I forgot to mention that there will be food in Energy Center, where the Interaction Center is as well. So the concessions and food vendors in those buildings will be open and available to us. We'll talk more about food in a little bit, but just wanted to highlight that. A couple of other things about community life. There will be someone from the community life team in your hotel. So they are who you will check in with when you get to your hotel to receive your gathering wristbands and guidebooks and any information that you need about the gathering as you're arriving. So community life will be there starting on Tuesday in your hotel from 3 to 8, and then Wednesday all day, 8 to 8. They are there to help you out, get you plugged into the gathering, answer any questions, and get you set up with transportation if you are using gathering transportation. The community life team is also putting out adult leader training videos, so you'll want to watch for those coming up. All right, I think that's all we got about community life. Then we have the mass gatherings, which maybe is my favorite part of the gathering for sure. The goal of the mass gathering is quite simply faith formation of teenagers, which is the larger goal of the youth gathering itself. And this time we'll be focusing on issues that impact 14 to 18-year-olds. That is the audience there. The mass gathering team talks about how the pendulum has kind of swung over to social justice issues in the past at past gatherings, and now it's kind of time for that pendulum to start swinging back the other way and focus more on personal issues. So there will be a little bit less focus on social justice this time and more on stuff that our kids are dealing with, mental health, eating disorders, suicide. I am told that there will be a schedule of speakers and topics, more specifically topics, at each mass gathering so that you as leaders can be aware and also can just know that there might be some stuff that might hit home with some of your kids, and you can give them a heads up as needed as you go ahead. So at mass gathering happens at Energy Stadium. Each time we gather there, the doors open at 6 p.m. There will be concessions available in the stadium from 6 to 7:30, and then the mass gathering goes from 7:30 to 9:15 p.m. I should mention that with those concessions going from 6 to 7:30, the 7:30 is a hard close no matter what. Since the mass gathering starts at 7:30, they have to close at 7:30 even if there are people in line. So just be aware of that and plan for that. Some other details about the mass gathering. There will be metal detectors and bag check at the stadium when you are entering. So just be aware of that. Know that they aren't allowing sticks in the stadium, which means that, some people will put like a teddy bear on a stick and hold it up so that their group can follow you. Just plan for a non-stick to be your stick. Somebody mentioned that they used a selfie stick that kind of retracted down to a small thing that she could put in her bag when they entered the stadium. So be aware of that. They don't allow outside food. Also, they don't allow outside food in any of the energy buildings, but granola bars are okay. I am noticing a question about umbrellas in the stadium. They are allowing umbrellas, so that might be another way around that. Umbrellas are okay, no sticks. They are going to put out a song list that they'll be using during the mass gatherings that you can use to help your group get familiar with the songs that we'll be singing, which is very helpful, I think. That will be coming out the end of May, so watch for that on Facebook or on the gathering website. Same thing with speakers and bands. Those are announced on Facebook, and they're also listed on the website. The thing about videos, so on Instagram, if you follow the gathering on Instagram, they have posted a couple of prompts where they're asking for youth to submit videos answering a question about, say, like, where do you see God's love in the world? And they're going to use those videos on the main stage. So that's really cool. I told my kids at my last meeting, I said, who wants to be on the big screen at the gathering? And people were like, yeah, me. I was like, well, here's how you do it. It's a fun way for the kids to be involved in the mass gatherings. Also note that all of the mass gatherings will be live streamed, so people back home can follow along with what we're doing. All right, I'm going to talk about offerings now, and then I'm going to get to this list of questions that's building up here. So there are 3 different ways that you can participate in offering at the gathering. The in-kind donations that they're collecting is the blast off for books. There is a book list on the gathering website of the books that they're asking us to donate. You can send the books ahead of you or bring them with you. There will be drop bins on Wednesday night in the stadium. That is the only time that you can drop your books off. They actually recommend that you just buy them on Amazon and have them shipped right to the place they need to be. There's a wish list on Amazon that you can use. Sunday morning monetary offering is another way that you can give, and then the special offering for this cycle is the sorry, I'm distracted at the moment. The special offering is Global Farm Challenge. There you go. Global Farm Challenge. There will be a thing in the interaction center with Global Farm Challenge, which is how we can participate in that. Okay. I said I was going to go through the questions, but I'm going to do this first. One more quick thing. I'm going to show you the map of energy. So this is Energy Park. You'll see in the middle on the left, Energy Stadium. That is where the mass gatherings will happen every night. NRG Center up on the north side there is where the Interaction Center is. And then down a little further, Energy Arena is where Community Life is and where the celebration of service is after your service day. The Astrodome will not be a part of our gathering experience. So to give you another perspective, here's another picture of that. So I'm going to go through these questions. Jen, how about you help me answer these? Okay, so how will we sign up for the interactive learning options, habitat, blood donation, etc.? Is there a link on the gathering website? There will be a link on the website. They are not collecting those signups yet. And I'm guessing that there will be information in the G News. If you don't receive the G News, the monthly e-news from the gathering, I urge you to sign up for that on the gathering website. Just put in your email. You, as a primary leader registered for the gathering, are not automatically opted in for that G News. You need to do that. It's a separate thing. So I'm not sure when the sign up will open. Jen, do you know?
I am not aware of a specific date.
Yeah. Okay. Erin, I'm not sure, you asked if there was a precise list somewhere. I'm not sure what you're talking about for that, if you can write again. If you're talking about the list of all of the things in their interaction center, there is a list of partners right now of who is going to be present in the interaction center. They have not added what the partners are going to be doing in the interaction center, but that list will be available to us before the gathering. Okay, yep, that's what you said. Good. Then we asked, let's see, we'll arrive on Tuesday night after 8 p.m. Will we check in with Community Life at the hotel on Wednesday morning? Yes. Yes, you can check in with Community Life on Wednesday morning as soon as they are there. They will be waiting for you. Do we need to do anything with the hotel, names to rooms, etc.? Jen, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so you should have been able to sign in to your congregational details and the list. Are you specifically wanting to know the ahead of time? The registration piece is look at that letter, print it out, have names in it, but know that they just want to make sure that the amount of people, say you have 15 people, that there's 15 people in the rooms that you have, so written on each line. Now, when you get to the hotel, if, like, say, Sarah wants to switch with Jackie, that's totally fine. You can mix people around. They aren't, like, locked into those specific spots in your group, so there can be flexibility in that way. Is that what you're asking? Is that the answer you're looking for?
I'll wait to hear from him. We'll see. I'm assuming, yeah, I think he's just talking about the housing form, and that there's lines on the housing form. They all need a name on it. Yep.
Yep, they need a name for everyone in your group on,
All right.
on the spot.
All right, cool. Thank you for those questions. Keep them coming. I'm going to move on to schedule. So on Tuesday, as far as the schedule goes, there's just check-in at your hotels. That's the only thing going on then. On Wednesday, that check-in continues, and then stuff begins to start as far as the gathering goes. So Community Life opens at 1, and then doors at NRG Stadium open at 6, and then the opening mass gathering is at 7:30 that night. Super exciting. I can hardly wait. Thursday, we all are looking at interactive learning, so that is from 9 to 5 p.m. Note that you don't have to be there for that whole time. You can decide with your group how long and what time you do interactive learning. That there is flexibility there, but that is just your assigned day to do interactive learning. Community Life is open 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. As I mentioned earlier, there's live Bible studies each day that's listed there. And then mass gathering that night, 6 p.m. doors, 7:30 p.m. start. Friday is our Synod day, so we have a little bit of a later start that day, which will be a gift, I know. Synod day doors open at 11:30. Make sure you eat before that. And us Minneapolis people, we will have to be transported to NRG before that time. So if you're taking gathering transportation, they'll let us know what time that is. They say it will be a little bit later than normal, but they'll still get you there with plenty of time to be able to eat. Before Synod Day. Then we got Synod Day till 3, and then we have a little bit of time there to go check out Community Life if we want, or get dinner. Doors at NRG Stadium, 6 p.m., 7:30 p.m. mass gathering. And then Saturday, we've got service day. So we'll be launching in the morning. We'll find out details on that, where and when specifically we'll be launching. But the goal is that we'll be at our service projects from 9 to 12. And then we'll be transported back to NRG, where we'll do the celebration of service till 3:30. And what I'm not sure about with the celebration of service is if it's I assume it's 1:30 to 3:30, everybody participates. I'm not sure if it's like a rotating thing that you cycle through. I would plan on participating in that until 3:30. Then there's some time you have for community life and or supper. 6 p.m. Energy Stadium doors, 7:30 mass gathering. And then we're already to Sunday, closing worship at Energy Stadium, 8 a.m. doors, 9:30 to 11:30 is worship. So that's what we're looking at for the schedule. I have a couple questions that came in here, so I'm going to do those before I turn it back over to you, Jen, okay? So Walt was clarifying that. He said, I have rooms assigned on the hotel, and I was assigned, okay, hang on. I was assigned rooms, number in room and type of room, but no names assigned. From what you said, I think we're okay. Okay, he's good. Great. Thanks for your patience there. Okay, I joined the meeting late, so I may have missed it, but did you already share bus information? What day and time are we leaving?
For the Joint Synod buses, if you are going with Mile, the pre-gathering, they are leaving June 23rd from Christ the King in New Brighton. If you're with the larger group, it is June 26th, and we are leaving from Walmart in Roseville, their parking lot, off of 35W and County Road C, and both departure times is at 1 p.m. So as I stated before, don't get there at 1. Get there in plenty of time ahead if you need to run into the stores, things like that. I'll be sending out a newsletter with all the details that you can pass along to your families.
There you go. Also, for all of you, FYI, this session is being recorded, so you can go back and check it out anytime you want. I'll be posting it after we're done here. Walt had one more question. Do we have to pay hotel ahead of time? You need to pay a deposit to the hotel, which should be sent in with your housing form. It says on there what is it? Room rate times number of rooms. That is the deposit that you have to send. Right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, there we go. Jen, talk to us about food.
Awesome. Yay. Well, as we shared at all 3 of the locations, Energy will have concessions, and they will be open for you. Remember, hard close at 7:30 though, in those buildings. There is no outside food allowed except for those that need it. For like medical purposes, so like little things like people who are diabetic and need things like that of that nature. And if you can stash granola bars at the bottom of your bag or small fruit snacks, things like that, not like a whole giant box of things, but little individual things each youth can carry. And then food trucks will be outside as well. Remember, for concessions and vendors, it might be a little pricey, just as if you were going to a concert or sporting event. They'll have places like Chick-fil-A, and I believe Fuddruckers was one of the other places who have burgers and things like that. But they'll be on the pricier side of things. They said an average, I think, between concessions and food trucks for a full, complete meal is about $20. As an estimated cost. Just so you're aware, for those with allergies, just mainly because I have a peanut allergy and you may not be familiar with, is Chick-fil-A cooks everything in peanut oil. So just some food for thought. I'm trying to be anyways, friends, yeah, snacks, carry them with you around outside. You can stash them in your hotel rooms. It's been suggested, designate one room that has food. If that's a cheaper route for you to go, plan breakfast, find out what your group likes. There potentially can be grocery stores around, scope out look ahead on Google Maps, things like that. Do some research ahead of time. Look for those places. I know within around Energy, there are restaurants and grocery stores. There's Sam's Club within like a couple-mile walk. So there are some things nearby. The light rail's there too if you wanted to venture on that. Do note that if you are wanting to venture into downtown just to scope it out and to see more things, on the weekend it's functions more like a business section, so most of those restaurants will not be open. And so if you find yourself wandering around downtown just to scope out the beautiful murals that they have or things like that and get hungry, know that you may not find a restaurant. So just to keep on the back of your mind for things like that. If you have allergies, remember, bring your own food, plan ahead. I encourage you to try locally. Try grabbing things from a local vendor. Be daring. Encourage your kids to be daring. Support those locally in Houston. It's a diverse city, one of the most diverse cities in our nation, and so there's a wealth of ethnic foods and culture there, barbecue as well. So be adventurous, have fun. If you are going as groups, I'd suggest calling restaurants ahead of time, making reservations. You don't want to get there and find out you have like an hour wait and then only 10 minutes to eat, and then no one gets food and everyone's hungry and grumpy. We don't want that to happen to anyone. So scope out, call ahead. I know many of the restaurants are made aware of the gathering happening and are starting to prepare to have extra staff on hand, things of that nature, potential group rates, things like that. So I hope that all sounds good for you. Any questions about food?
No questions about food yet.
Perfect. Well, we will move on to things to do, because things to do are awesome, right? I know you'll be busy with the gathering, but if you do find free time, if you're coming early, there is Astros versus the Blue Jays on the 26th, and I know that they were already excited. They were posting out on Twitter and things, welcome gathering folks. We're looking forward to having you. You can go to a few websites. There's freethingstodoinhouston.com. They have events, arts in the parks, things like that. You can scope out free things, cheap things. There's Houston on the Cheap, which is a blog. And so I invite you. Of course, the gathering has already done a lot of pre-work for you, so go to the website. Go to elca.org/youth-gathering/about/either Houston or overview, and you can find out about those details listed there. And so there's just a whole bunch of amazing things you can find. There is also on the webpage under resources, under general, a PDF of where to eat at the gathering. So just a heads up, there is a PDF available. You can scope that out ahead of time as well. Any questions about food or things to do? There's so many things.
So
and it's
many
going to be amazing.
It is going to be amazing.
Space Center does offer a group ticket, so if you're thinking of going to do NASA, I think I heard it's about 30 minutes away, if I'm correct, from
Yes.
Energy.
Yeah, I heard it was 30 minutes, and Erin just said we're planning to go to the Space Center. There is a group rate, but you need 20 to get a group rate, but so he needs more people. So Erin, we have a Facebook group. Minneapolis, it's Moss Youth Gathering 2018. Somebody in that group just today said they want to go to the Space Center and they need more people. So I think you should go check that out and connect there. He said cool. Okay.
Awesome.
Anything else about things to do?
I think we're good.
All right.
Just keep it out. Brainstorm together.
Brainstorm together. All right. Safety and security. I'm going to go through this quickly. The goal, of course, is to keep everyone safe and able to participate fully in the youth gathering. That being said, a cell phone for every person is a very good idea. you have to be able to contact everyone at all times. So I tell my kids, gotta bring it, you're required. A note about that, make sure that the cell phone numbers are correct in your congregational registration, because if for some reason you need to get a hold of one of your people and do not have their contact info, people at the gathering can pull that information up. They'll want to have that information. Then if something, God forbid, happens at the gathering, something catastrophic where, chaos may ensue, our best bet is to follow directions from our safety and security team. Know that our safety and security team is full of professionals who know what they're doing and have a great plan down. So even though you might think that you have the best course of action, if it's different than what the safety and security team is telling us, I would defer to them. That is the best way to do it. Also, just remember that we're guests in Houston, and remind your groups that we are guests in Houston, that we need to abide by the rules there and the laws. We don't get to just walk wherever we want at any time. You may get hit by a car if you do that, because there are rules for a reason. So that's a great reminder. And pro tip, on your gathering wristband, there will be a phone number. It is the gathering info line. That info line is your friend. If you have a question about anything, if you need to contact one of your kids and don't have their numbers, if you need to find an urgent care, if, I don't know, you have a question about where something is or need help with something, call the info line. They are there. They're staffing it all the time. They have nurses on call 24/7 that can help you out and guide you to a hospital, urgent care, whatever you might need. Infoline is a good thing. Just a couple of very helpful graphs from the last gathering. The types of injuries by far were sprains and what do we have? Cuts, lacerations, and punctures. You can probably guess what those were related to. Footwear. Very important that you wear good shoes at the gathering. Just no flip-flops. Flip-flops, just ban them completely from your group. You will thank me. Then 2015 reported data, types of medical conditions. By far, gastrointestinal issues. So two biggest health concerns is number one, good shoes, no flip-flops. Number two, constipation. Oh, sorry. Number one, dehydration. I got ahead of myself. Constipation is a big thing, and dehydration is a big thing. Drink lots of water. Be aware that we're eating food that we don't normally eat, and got to take care of ourselves in that way so that we can stay healthy. There you go, safety and security and health. Lost and found. If you've lost something, call the info line. If you have lost a kid, well, you can call the info line too, I suppose. But it's important to think ahead in regard to that. Have a meeting place. Make sure that everyone in your group knows what the plan is for the day, where you will be when, so that everybody can be on the same page. I print out a very detailed schedule and give it to every single one of my kids so that everybody is always on the same page about what we're doing. That's a really important thing, especially when we're in a crowd of 30,000 people. And again, I'll say, everyone needs a cell phone. Okay, Jen, other details.
Other details, commissioning for congregations. If you are thinking of having a blessing commissioning service for sending, know that is on the gathering website, and so that's available. I believe they released it in a PDF form, but they may have it as a document as well, so you can make changes and put it in your bulletins and things of that nature. One of the fun things about the gathering is thinking about giving away things like little wristbands or safety pins with your church's logo or something silly or fun. Those are always a great way to be creative and to continue to reach out to other congregations and surprise them with some generosity and fun. This year, just so you know, there will be no Bibles and no backpacks. In previous rotations, they have done such things, but not this rotation. Another suggestion is charging your phones. They now make these wonderful devices called battery packs that you can charge your devices portably wherever you are. So that's a great thing. Another thing that I found very useful too in regards to phones is switching them to low battery mode. You can still take pictures and all those things and message, but it stops running all those background programs. So you can use the juice on your devices for what you want to use it for, and not all the ridiculous other things that would make your phone die. So yeah, so just some tips for you there, additional resources. So yeah, we're going to talk now about preparing your adult leaders. As with everything, attitude is everything. And so if you go into it being fun and flexible and having fluidity in everything that you do, your kids will know that everything's going to be amazing and everything's going to be awesome. And if you come into it with kind of a bad attitude, then your kids are going to have bad attitudes. And we don't want that. We want everyone to have a remarkable transformational time. And so please prepare your adult leaders that it's not a vacation time, that it is an intentional transformational time for these young people, because they're the ones that'll be coming home with your youth on this trip with amazing stories and memories and deeper connections with God and with one another. So plan your days, be intentional about how you prepare your leaders with all these details, with the schedules, with what to be aware of. Remember that there are getting ready materials that you can pass along to your leaders, and hopefully you've been using them with leaders as well as your youth. There is also great resources on the web page for them to scope out webinars. If you have an adult leader who really loves inputting information, send them to the website. Let them watch the webinars. Invite them in. Communicate that vision and plan together. Remind them that modeling good behavior, leading with grace, making sure that we aren't harsh and jump to quick, things that will put our youth down, but ways that we can be constructively building up our youth and working through whether we end up with a mistake that occurs or whether it's a surprising moment. Just have a plan, model the good behavior in which you want for your youth to see, and keep an open mind. Pray together is another amazing thing to do as a group and with each other. So yes, I hope that makes sense. Remember, you can go and check out the little handy dandy youth gathering notebook as well. That's online, as well as an additional resource, which leads us into resources.
Yeah.
Yes,
We're
perfect
just like to say, we're nearing the end, so get your questions in now, if you've got any. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, resources, which I hope you know all of these are in existence and that you've been using them. Getting ready materials online, there's devotions for retreats, as I said. Hopefully you've been using them throughout this past year, getting your group psyched up with This Changes Everything and those themes. There's the G-News, which sends you the blogs with up-to-date information. The Gathering website, elca.org/youth gathering. Remember the webinars that I just mentioned, Facebook, Instagram, and the handbook. And so there's a wealth of information. Also, network with one another. Talk to one another. If you are a first-time leader for this, go seek out others both synods, we each have our Facebook pages out and about for the gathering. So connect. Don't worry about being a newbie at this. I have never gone to a gathering, just so you know. So I am learning just with you, and so we are supportive of one another, and whether we've gone every single cycle from the beginning to our very first time. So just lean on each other.
All right.
Are we
Oh, good. The questions are coming in. That's good. I can handle this next one. Your next steps moving forward from here. What you should be doing next is, if you haven't checked out the website recently, go and look at the Gathering website and see what's happening there. They are updating it all the time with new information. Those webinars under the Prepare tab are very helpful, and social media is a great place to look. Facebook, Instagram, get connected with the Gathering. That's where they put stuff first because they have to go through other channels to get it on the website. So check there. You should be getting ready to send in your hotel deposit, and in connection to that, get your tax exempt forms submitted. Pro tip: maybe hook up with your financial people on your staff or in your church to help you with that process. I plan to go to our finance director and ask her to help me with attaining tax exempt status in Texas, because she knows way more than I about that sort of thing. Use those getting ready materials. Meet with your adult leaders. As Jen was saying, it's important to just have them on the same page as you and communicate what we're doing and why. Start researching food options around your hotel, and also as you're kind of getting your schedule together, figure out where you'll be when for each mealtime and what your plan is for food. Plan that schedule. And the t-shirts, the Synod shirts, watch for that information from both Jen and I, and get those t-shirt orders in. Those are your next steps. All right, I'm gonna get to these questions here. Ben asks, any suggestions on how to cover food costs if the group splits up? I was originally thinking a per diem, but realized that would mean having a few $1,000s in cash, which doesn't seem smart. Yeah, that would be a little tricky. Ben, I have my kids handle the food on their own. I don't collect money as a part of my registration for food. I just have their families figure out how they want to handle food, whether it be their parents sending a check card along or cash or whatever it is. I let them handle it on their own. So I don't know if anybody else has some advice for Ben on what you've done in the past, which has been helpful. If you do, please send those to me now and I will pass them along. Have you heard anything else, Jen, on that?
I did hear a group saying that they were going to get, that they had some people donate Visa gift cards, and so parents could reload them if they needed to, as an idea, just so that way if their kids wanted to have more of a card instead of cash. But yeah, I thought that was an intriguing idea too.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways.
Cool. All right. Thanks. Gina says, you said that we could not bring backpacks. Okay. Just to clarify, the no Bibles, no backpacks, I'm very sorry. I should have put that in there differently. It just meant that the gathering is not giving a Bible and they are not giving a backpack to every participant this time around. At past gatherings, they've given us a bag of sorts and a Bible of sorts. We're not receiving either of those things from the gathering this time. You can bring backpacks. So,
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That miscommunication.
Yeah, she's okay, good. She's got it. She said thank you. Should we be getting emails from the gathering or just from the Synod coordinators? You generally shouldn't be getting emails from the gathering. They do send out the G News, which, as I mentioned earlier, you need to be subscribed to. So if you do not receive the G News, go onto the gathering website and subscribe for that. Then you will receive a monthly email with updates. I think they only sent one email to everybody, one mass email that was in about the March 15th deadline, maybe. Jen, do you remember?
Yeah, I think that they've only sent one communication aside from the G News.
Yeah. But you should be hearing from your Synod coordinator, and hopefully you have. So, do we need to have Synod Day shirts? Do most people do them? You are not required to have the Synod Day shirts. It's kind of just a fun thing that we do. Most people do them, but as I said, you're not required. So, I just plan for my group specifically. We have 4 shirts total that we rotate through for our time at the gathering. We do our own group shirt. We do the Synod Day shirt. We use the Service Day orange shirt as one of our shirts, and then we tie-dye T-shirts at one of our meetings so that we can have multiple same shirts. I have us in the same shirt every day that we're at the gathering. It just really helps keeping track of everybody. So, but if it's not in your budget, it's not in your budget.
Using Thrivent, I didn't mention that. I mentioned it when we met face-to-face, but Thrivent is another opportunity for people to do the action team grants for some additional fundraising, but also to get matching T-shirts for the group as well.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, especially if you use one of those to do a fundraiser or something, then they would have given you T-shirts.
And they match the gathering colors.
Yes, they're that pretty teal color. Okay, last call for questions. I'll just say that I hope that we have answered a lot of your questions tonight. If anything else comes up, if you feel overwhelmed by stuff, shoot us an email. We will call and talk to you. We are happy to talk through some of these details with you. This should be a positive experience for all people. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Good night.
Good night. Take care. Blessings.